Welcome back to the dark side of YouTube, where the strange, the sinister, and the downright disturbing come out to play. Tonight we're diving into a world of terrifying Reddit stories, first-hand encounters, eerie confessions, and spine-chilling tales that might just be true. Now let's begin. My new apartment has a mirror that doesn't reflect me. I moved into a cheap apartment last week. It's small but clean. The previous tenant left in a hurry, according to the landlord. Something about the job offer overseas? I didn't think much of it. The weirdness started the first night. There's an old full-length mirror bolted to the wall in the bedroom. Ornate frame, slightly tarnished, looks antique. I went to check my reflection before bed and nothing. I wasn't there. I thought it was just the dim light, or maybe some trick of the glass. But the mirror showed the room behind me perfectly. Bed, lamp, even the crooked painting on the wall. Just not me. I waved. Nothing. I brought in a flashlight. Still nothing. My reflection was gone. Like I didn't exist. I tried filming it with my phone. On camera, I showed up just fine. But in person, it's like the mirror refuses to acknowledge me. That was creepy enough. But last night, it got worse. I woke up to a sound like nails tapping glass. The mirror was fogged up from the inside, like someone had breathed on it. Written across the glass in long, shaky letters was, "I see you." I didn't sleep. I draped a blanket over the mirror. This morning, it was folded neatly at the foot of my bed. And now, as I type this, I can feel something watching me. But only when I'm near the mirror. I think it's learning how to get out. Or worse, how to trade places. A night I will never forget. This is an event that I will never forget. There is absolutely no way I could have mistaken this. Let's get into it. Me and my sister were living in a townhouse together at this time. This was about 3 to 4 years ago. We lived in a small suburban town where everyone knew everyone. My town was filled with forests and cornfields, so when it was nighttime, it was eerie. Here's what happened. It was a Friday evening and my sister and I were fighting over the phone about something minuscule. We both worked together as well, so you can imagine how heated our arguments can get, spending that much time together. During the workday, we were going at it over text, and it's gotten to a bad point where we may need to separate ourselves. As the clock hits 5 p.m., she leaves the office first. We are still texting and fighting over the phone, to the point where I was almost in a full-blown rage. I take a breather, pack my things, and head off to the townhouse. I was contemplating going over to my parents' house, who lived close by, but at the time I needed to cool down and be by myself. As I am driving, I am completely dreading seeing her there and having to go through yet another argument. I get to the townhouse, I take a deep breath, and I walk towards the front door, preparing myself for another useless argument. I walk in and head to the kitchen, and thankfully she is upstairs in her room. Her room is located right above the kitchen, and I can hear clear as day a conversation she is having on the phone. Who is she talking about? You guessed, me. She's calling me every name in the book, talking down on my character and saying downright evil things. At this point, I chose to call my mom to calm me down and talk to her about the whole volatile situation we were having. I needed to talk to her about it in hopes that this argument can be done. As I am talking to my mom, I hear her voice, and then she starts screaming at me, to get the F out, you bitch. You stupid, nasty whore. I was taken back at the disgusting things she was saying. She has a very distinct voice that was just piercing through the walls. I snapped. I started screaming back. We are yelling through the ceiling, and my mom is hearing me scream with rage over the phone. She is hearing me go back and forth with her. My mom yells at me to stop, so I do. The next words she said to me put me into a terror. She quietly and slowly tells me, "Your sister is right next to me. She's with me right now at the house. Who are you yelling at?" And that is when I learned about mimic spirits. An evil spirit was mimicking my sister to enrage and feed off the energy. Pray up and be aware. My boyfriend has an attachment. I had never experienced anything paranormal before I met my boyfriend. We met in October of 2024 and began dating in November. I ended up moving in with him into his apartment in January. I know, very soon, but we were comfortable enough to do so and it helped both parties' financial situation. My boyfriend had never informed me that he believed he has an attachment before. One night, we got into our first argument, and he had been sitting in the living room, and after I slightly raised my voice, the trash can in the kitchen, which was maybe 10 feet away with a wall dividing the two areas, fell over. It spooked me, and my boyfriend proceeded to apologize to me and inform me that stuff like this happens sometimes. Sometimes when things get unsettling, sometimes when nothing triggers it. Needless to say, of course I believe in the paranormal. I just hadn't experienced it like that. Now the part I haven't told you guys is that the argument with my boyfriend was about me and my best friend going to a Target to buy a Ouija board. He told me he doesn't mess with that stuff, and that I told him it's harmless. Nothing bad could come from it. I was sorely mistaken. Now nothing bad came from the board we had purchased, because after my boyfriend had informed me of the past with Ouija boards, me and my friend disposed of the board. When my boyfriend was around 11 to 12, his childhood dog had passed away. He was obviously heartbroken, and he was kind of an odd kid from what I had gathered. He told me that he was looking through the woods out by his house, playing with sticks and dirt and stuff, when he happened upon a Ouija board. Now, from what I recall the story, there was not a planchette. I'm not exactly sure what he would have used to use the spirit board, but as a heartbroken kid that just wanted to see his childhood dog again, he attempted to use it. He said he got a few words out, never told me what it said, but he never said goodbye. That is the story he told me that started it all. He would experience things in the home he lived in at that time that were unexplainable and not very nice. He even told me that one time something pushed him down the stairs when he was home alone. He eventually moved out of that house before he reached junior high. He moved to where his parents currently live. While I'm not sure if a ton of paranormal stuff happened while he was living there because he's never told me any stories of that house. When he moved out, he was 18. He would have stuff in his apartment that would move around, but always assumed it was one of his roommates because he lived with 2 other guys. Fast forward to the apartment we live in now. He moved in there a little less than 2 years ago. He moved in with his close friend, who likewise of me had no information regarding the fact that my boyfriend might have a ghost. I hate calling it that, but whatever. My boyfriend's close friend only lived there for about 9 to 10 months before moving back in with his mom. While my boyfriend's friend told me it wasn't because of what was happening, my boyfriend was pretty sure it was. I'm not sure of the timeline of everything, but my boyfriend said in the beginning of living in the apartment, he would come home to the coffee table turned upside down, the mirrors that were previously on the wall, on the floor. The chair they had in the living room face down on the floor. When stuff like that started happening, he knew immediately that whatever it was not happy to be moving. Eventually things stopped being moved when he would leave the house and everything went back to what he thought was normal. When his friend moved out, one of his other friends moved in shortly after, not aware of the things that had occurred. When I moved in, the activity had almost completely stopped by then. Until that night we had that argument. While it was not very bad, sometimes the dishwasher door would slam on its own, or we would hear things in the kitchen while in the living room. We prayed over whatever it was, but it doesn't feel malevolent, so I never really bothered to talk to anyone about it. We are finally moving into our own place because that apartment is kind of a shithole. Our washing machine had been leaking, so the landlord had to come and remove the machine and found subfloor damage and mold underneath it. We decided to stay with my parents until we moved into our new place next week. This caused a little bit of unhappiness in whatever was attached to my boyfriend. We started staying here on Thursday night. It is now Sunday night, and more things have happened than in the last 3 months I was living in the apartment with him. My parents have a mother-in-law suite that we are staying in currently. It's pretty separated from the rest of the house with its own stairs that lead to a door outside. Anyway, the electrical systems work great. Everything's great, whatever. So the whole apartment area, mother-in-law suite, has dome lights that you can dim with a switch that has a dimmer built into it. When I was living here previously, I would dim the lights all the way down and sleep with that. We started staying here, and on the first night, I passed out pretty fast. The next night, we were having dinner with my mom, and me and my boyfriend are sitting at the dining table, and the medium-sized vase with glass pebbles in it moves 2 to 3 inches towards me. I see it out of the corner of my eye, but I don't say anything until I look at my boyfriend. He's giving me the straight face. I didn't like that look. After dinner, we go upstairs, and he immediately proceeds to tell me he has never had anything like that so obvious happen directly in front of his face. He explains it as something was waiting for him to look at the vase so it could happen. He then proceeds to tell me that the lights in the room the night before would brighten and dim on their own. Like, not just a little bit, like to the point where it almost completely bright, and they would proceed to go back and dark again. And of course, as we are having this conversation, the fully lit lights start to dim. Not too much, but enough for us to notice, as if it was responding to what we were talking about. It is currently 2 in the morning on a Sunday night, and I cannot fall asleep. The previous nights I had been working all day and didn't give a shit and just wanted to play video games and then go to bed. But now I'm sitting in the bed next to my asleep boyfriend typing this up. About 2 hours ago, I was sitting on the couch after getting out of the shower. While my boyfriend was in the bed and the lights started to dim and brighten again. Me being kind of a butt, I jokingly suggested that maybe the lights just do that. Not even a millisecond after those words exit my mouth, the lights come fully bright. I'm scared, my heart is racing, and my boyfriend responds, "Maybe he didn't like your attitude." Lights go dark. I can feel my pulse in my fingers at this point. I do not know what to do, but my boyfriend definitely has something attached to him, and I'm not sure what it is, but I don't like it. I'm sorry I made this story so long, but I felt like it needed some backstory. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sleep tonight because the lights have been dimming and brightening for the past 2 hours on their own. I've tried not to focus too hard on it, but it's just so scary. If you've made it this far, congratulations. That means you've survived, for now. But remember, the stories you just heard, they came from real people. So the next time you hear a noise in the dark or feel like you're being watched, maybe you are. If you enjoyed tonight's descent into the unknown, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a scare. And if you've got a creepy story of your own, drop it in the comments. I might just read it in the next video. Until then, sleep tight.